Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Now, this is a conservative-leaning podcast. I do take facts into both sides of an argument, and most of the arguments are based, of course, on political agendas. I look at them and I do analyze them fairly in my eyes. I try to be as unbiased as I can be. It's difficult because a lot of the Democrats their thinking is scattered all over the place, and very few of them actually hit the point of where there could be a problem or where there should be discussions on an issue. It's more on an emotional level than it is on a legal or precedent matter. The Democrats have been very confusing. And in today's show, I'm going to be showing some of that and how that's affecting them in their primaries. And they should be, the Democrats should be looking at this information, shouldn't be coming from a Republican. Now, I'm a conservative. I'm not MAGA. I'm a federalist, a constitutionalist, not an independent. I'm a Republican. But a good idea is a good idea no matter what party presents it. It just has to be feasible, being able to be accomplished. Under our government, under the rules and regulations, and that's just not been the case. It's very confusing. It must be even more confusing for moderate Democrats who go, I just can't go down this road. I want to be a Democrat. I want to do this, but the Democrats don't want me. They don't want to hear my things that, is concerning. That might be different from a Republican viewpoint, but gone. The Democrats, I don't even call them Democrats. I do out of respect, but they're not Democrats. They're socialists. And make no bones about it, the ones that are in power are socialists. The people that are on the side are actually hoping, and I say moderate Democrats, that there's some centralists out there. There's some people who have moderate thinking on issues of today, but none of them are speaking out. Very few, I will say that. Very few of them are speaking out. There are some. You got your John Fetterman and some others that I'm going to mention that, are saying, whoa, that is not what we're about. So let's jump into it. Today is May 27th, and this is episode 79. It's with a heavy heart that I report that Representative from Texas, Democrat Al Green, has been ousted, lost his primary run to Christian Minoff. Now, this also happened. Minoff is an attorney who's 38 years old. Was one of the youngest elected representatives in Texas for the Democrats, and he took over for the late Sylvester Turner. Almost said Stallone, but I stopped myself. To finish out the term that Representative Turner had. So he has taken over the 18th congressional district in a runoff that will happen. This was a runoff situation. So you say, oh, all right, this is a big, win for the Republican. Not really, because there were some political differences as far as Green, who was, just all the time, impeach, impeach, impeach. That's all he ever did. And in Texas, of course, the redistricting lines that were allowed took a large portion of District 9, Congressional District 9 in Texas, and kind of moved that into the 38th district, and Al Green lost votes. But he lost to another Democrat. And Christian Menef is an attorney. He's a smart guy. And maybe he'll make a difference if he were to win the seat, which I think he will win that seat. It's a heavily blue area, and it would, unless they found something so damning about the individual that that would disqualify him or just taint him so bad. And I don't think that's the case. But you never know. I don't know Texas politics other than people that show up, and then you could research them. He was backed by big money, and a lot of that was crypto money, companies and things. And Al Green said that the idea of PAC money being used and everything was, changing the landscape of politics. I think Al Green was just totally out of touch, and he had a Trump derangement syndrome, and bad. And I think this guy jumped on it. The change of districts that was accomplished by the Republicans made a huge difference in this and got Al Green out. And again, it's not going to benefit it's not going to benefit the Republicans by Al Green being out of there, other than just the nonsense stuff that he would bring into the mix. So Al Green is gone. He won't be forgotten, not for a long time, but he is gone. But it was interesting because you thought that he'd get a lot of AOC support and a lot of the Bernie Sanders, and they did give him some support, but it shows again, as in what I'm saying this show is about. There's a common sense problem with the Democrats, and that dysfunction is showing up in the primaries. And you think they would be aware of this and look at it and go, okay, what are the people saying? Our old tried and true methods are not working. We're getting upset. We're getting upsets in territory that we think we have people in that we've already corralled, and now they're not supporting the people that we're asking them to support. It's a dysfunction. a disconnect. It's the not wanting to believe what's really happening in front of them. And I said this before in my other podcast. That is what will make things fail. When in plain sight is the situation, and you fail to address that because you just can't believe that's happening. And this is what's going on inside the Democratic Party. They've allowed themselves to be manipulated and used by such a small segment of their party. And not to say that those people don't, aren't deemed to be represented or something like that. No, absolutely not. But to actually steer where everyone's going, yeah, you might want to look at that. And that hasn't really worked out well for you over the last couple of years. And instead of going down that same road, you might want to be either putting the brakes on or turning left or right. They've decided to go more left, which, I don't know. I just don't see that as a winning combination for them. And like I said, there's not much political, it's more style that, pushed Manafort over the finish line. And this was a runoff. Election. And Al Green lost. So long, Al Green. I don't know. Maybe he'll be parking cars. I don't know what he'll do in the future. He's 78. He's 78 years old, and he certainly has had a good run. But it's over. It's over, Al. Other news coming out of some Democrats, and this is just this is again, Joe Biden is suing the Department of Justice. Wow. Maybe he's going to try to get some of that slush fund money. But no, Joe Biden is suing the Department of Justice, seeking to block the release of files and audio interviews given by Joe Biden to a biographer. And that information, that biography information, interview material was used in the investigation of, the mishandling of classified information that was found in Biden's garage. So he wants that interview and the stuff from the Department of Justice not to be released under the Freedom of Information Act and labeled executive privilege. Now, I am in the belief that he is going to lose that suit, and not because Trump, DOJ is run by Trump. It's the fact that he gave that information out voluntarily to an interviewer who was doing a biography on the president. This information, was used, in committees, to investigate what Biden had done. And I don't think that would fall under privilege, executive privilege, because it was an interview. He voluntarily gave that information, and all that information could have been used in his biography. Of course, with Biden's personal approval, hey, leave that in, put that out, that. So, in that sense, he could have controlled what was being released in his biography, but I don't think that comes under executive privilege. Even though it might have been done in the White House, in the Oval Office, he could have had this guy sit there for 2 hours in an interview and gave him the information. But that doesn't mean that it is executive privilege. Biden's conversations with his attorneys and stuff, that's a lot different to me. That, you could protect that. An interview given during a biography, I don't know. I don't think that will happen. Now, what will end up happening is that the actual transcripts will then be analyzed against what Biden was saying during this interview. And it could be, Biden mushmouth, and people will then use it to go, how could you have said Biden was fit? And to me now, it doesn't matter. Everyone saw the debate. Everyone saw Biden just fall apart up there. And I don't think there was a person watching it that in that moment of time, in that implosion, that didn't feel something for Joe Biden to go, how could they let him do that? How could any decent, caring person allow Joe Biden onto that platform and in 1.5 hours destroy a lifetime career? How could you allow that to happen? Why? And later on you go, all right, well, at least America all saw what everyone else saw and what everyone else was saying. Now the proof was in the pudding. There it is, right there. And the Democrats could no longer support him. And of course, within 22 days, he was gone. And, Harris was anointed. And it was just ridiculous. But now Joe Biden is suing the Department of Justice and saying that can't be released under the Freedom of Information Act. And again, I think he's going to lose it. I think this will go up to, it won't be released for a long, 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 long time, or until after Joe is dead. And, it can't hurt him anymore. Now, it might hurt people that were around him, that there's been a lot of questions asked about things. But Biden is now a footnote in history. And it's over. It's done. Whether he wins it or he doesn't win it, inconsequential. Unless there's things in there that, could pertain to election fraud or something like that, no one picked up on because that wasn't the nexus of what they were looking for. But that's it. I mean, there's not much you could, not much traction you're going to get out of that other than going, see, we were right, see? Everyone who said Joe Biden shouldn't be running was shown to be correct. And, when all the people that were vilifying anyone that said anything about Joe Biden, had to take the back seat and go, oh, well, we didn't know he was that bad. Well, you told us 3 weeks ago how great he was. So all those people then come under, and all you're doing is bringing that back out again, and we know that already, and can show the video of them doing everything we said they were doing. You don't need Joe Biden to do that. It's over. Uh, you know, I can understand Joe Biden and, saying that, hey, I don't want this stuff out there. But there's a lot of things going on with my son again. There's a lot of things going on in the background. There's a lot of things still out there floating around. I don't want it out there. You got me off the platform. I'm not giving out speeches because you want me just to sit here, and you're giving me all this money, some through back channels, just to lay low. And now this is going to come out, and I'm forced now to come back out of my basement and address this. And you weren't happy enough bashing my teeth in. Now you want to kick him down my throat. So I can understand Biden being upset about that and wanting to stop it. So some other news, and I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I never was, but I mean, kind of beating a dead horse here. What are you going to get out of it other than, see, we told you, and we already know what that is. So, Democrats fighting each other in a dysfunctional manner continues. Now, this is where I said there are some Democrats out there that are centralists. They're like, we gotta get back into things that make sense to people, to the majority of the people. I mean, there are people in the Republican Party that that you can never get back into the central. They're so far right, they're left. And you have that in the Democrat Party too. You have a group of people that, that we see them all the time: green hair, blue hair, yellow hair, spears, metal spikes and everything. And they're out there screaming, and people are thinking, well, that's what all Democrats are. And that might not be the case, but it seems that they're the ones that are getting all the airtime. And the demands that they're asking for are so far wacky, even to Democrats, that they're like, well, but why that's being shown like that, it's not helping their cause, not helping the Democratic cause. And so Democrat from Massachusetts, Jake, and I said what his name was. It's Claus, and he said a statement that got him in hot water with many a progressive. Now, what's in Massachusetts and Vermont and the either ether world out there, you got a lot of progressives. And he had come out and said that Senate hopeful out of Maine, Graham Planters, should have been disqualified after showing his alleged Nazi reference tattoo. And the Democrats and progressives are screaming, how dare him speak against a fellow Democrat. And, he is saying, hey, I'm just saying that, having that and refusing to really explain it and discuss it and just kind of told people, tough, that's it, and think what you want to think. Also, his comment about veterans on Memorial Day. I mean, you got some people going now, hey, whoa, shut this guy up. He's going to become his worst enemy. This isn't Donald Trump speaking, where, he goes out and says, I could shoot someone on, Fifth Avenue, and I'd still be elected. This guy is not Donald Trump. And he thinks he can say anything and it not come back. He's going to learn real quick. Now, he's running against, he wants to unseat Maine Senator Susan Collins. And now there is a primary against planters and Governor Janet Mills, a Democrat, who wants that seat. And she feels that she's the one that could defeat Susan Collins because she won the race for governor against a Republican. So it kind of makes sense. So what Auchincloss had said was, in his statement for disqualification, was that the Democratic Party would have no problem saying, this, Nazi should not even be on the ticket. How could this be? If Planters was a Republican. And because he is not a Republican, we don't say anything about him. And, he's saying, hey, we have to, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And he's saying, we have to be centralists here. We have to look at it as a Republican would see it. And he's absolutely correct. He is absolutely correct. But they won't do that. The Democrats in this case are not doing that yet. They have done it in they kind of started doing it on one of these Fox, with Brent Baer and whoever, and I'm not, I don't watch Fox, folks. I'm not a, Breitbart and Fox and Politico and stuff. I hardly ever go there. Because they're just as biased as the other team. So I look at what people say. I look at their speeches. I hear them. I'll not only read stuff that they've said, but if there's a speech of it, because I want to know what the inflection was. I want to know what the other words before it and afterwards were, So I keep it in context. Now, Bob in New York doesn't think I do that. But I have proven myself to do things like that and not go off on the emotional deep end. You know, we could all be emotional about things, but you got to be careful. Emotions can make you do things that you shouldn't do and act in manners that you should not act. So, Democrat DeRosa said on the show on Fox, you know, and she's Democrat. I think Melissa DeRosa said she could care less if DeRosa lost the primaries. She doesn't care if he loses. And the reality is, you just lose the primary. You didn't lose the race. Governor Mills would then be the person running against Susan Collins. And I would say that Mills is a Democrat. I wouldn't say that she's all the way on the progressive side. She's left-leaning, but, you know. But this guy, Planters, he could be a danger. He can be a danger. And, you know, Bernie Sanders is, you know, yeah, that's what we need, a socialist, you know. And it shows, again, the dysfunction, the split. And you have some people in the party, the Democrats, and even the progressives, that will take a stand and say what is being said. You can't say. And I'll take an example here. I'm going to try to finish this up in like 5 minutes. In Texas, Maureen Galindo, who was running against Representative Garcia in Texas. And she kind of won the primary to be against Garcia, against someone else, and they had to have a runoff. And that was kind of shocking because she had made a statement that American Zionists should all be imprisoned. So if you had a political belief that she didn't agree with, you should go to prison. Now, even AOC said this person is a danger. And you had a whole bunch of people get up there and go, yeah, she ain't speaking for us. And again, because of the district line changes, Garcia, who was kind of being shuffled around, was placed into the 35th district from his other district. I want to say it wasn't, and I didn't write it down. I should have looked. But he has ousted her in the runoff. So she's gone. But she got enough juice to go against this guy who is, he's a squad member, as I call him. He's one of the squad members. But Maureen Galindo, absolute nut job. Nut job. And for her to even get to where she got to, it shows the dysfunction of the Democrats. Truly, the dysfunction. And they should be looking at these things and go, this should not have even been a fight. What's going on in Maine, we shouldn't be fighting about this. Guy should not have been on. We should have put our support against the governor and, say, hey, if this guy wants to run, let him run. No one's stopping him. But, we're not going to support him. And we're going to take a stand. We're going to take a stand. And you look at where President Trump had said in Kentucky, Massey, Louisiana, Cassidy. And that was Republican on Republican. And the presidents said, no. We're going to have another Republican in there, and he's going to be my guy. And the Democrats, they have their guys and gals too. Because that's how agendas go from an agenda to a reality. You can only do it if you're in power. If you're not in power, it's hopes and dreams. And as I said before, if you want hopes and dreams that may come true, go to Disney. But everywhere else, you gotta be sitting in the driver's seat to make that happen. All right, we're looking at Minnesota now. I haven't beaten them up enough, huh? With all the fraud and all the eyes on Minnesota, you would think the mayor, Jacob Frey, who skipped a Memorial Day tradition of saying thanks and remembrance for all our soldiers who died while serving our country, he instead saluted George Floyd. Again, this is going to resonate. And you just can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, I'm not certain if the Republicans running for office all wrote Santa a letter and Santa goes, yeah, okay, I'll make that happen. With these people just saying stuff and doing things that anyone with common sense would go, you might not want to do that. You might want to think about that. Or people going above them and going, yeah, that ain't happening. You're going to stay on script here. I got enough fires going on. I can't put out, this whole place is going to burn down. And I realize this is just a mayor of Minneapolis, and the city's a shithole. We all know that. But you gotta say, hey, you're gonna drag other people down with you. And, you gotta think of the greater cause than just, you wanting to promote George Floyd. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Democrats are handing the Republicans the platter. I don't get it. I mean, listen, I'm thrilled that the Democrats are so unhinged and so dysfunctional that, they're asking which way is the cliff so we can walk off of it, and the Republicans are going right over there, and they're looking and they go, no, they won't do that. And off the cliff they go. Okay. All right. A lot to say on that. All right, this has been 40 minutes. This is 10 minutes longer than I wanted to. I want to thank everyone again who has stuck this long, who have joined my channel, and I appreciate that. Of course, it is, comment, like, and subscribe. As always, I do not monetize. I have no idea of even wanting to do that or how you would even do it and who would pay to listen to me. My family is stuck listening to me because if they want to eat a meal, we got to eat it all together, and I'm there. So they don't have a say. Please give to a charity if you can. Just make sure, check that charity out. Make sure it aligns to what you like. But don't become a victim helping a victim. If you're not interested in that or comfortable with that, please think about giving to a food bank. They all need help. They all need assistance. They all need money. And it goes right back into your community in 98% of the cases. And you got a good feeling you did something. Say a prayer. Prayer does work, no matter what a Democrat might tell you. And with that, I'm going to say thank you. And again, for my new subscribers. And it's been a slow process, and I'm working on it to reach more people that want to hear this type of commentary. And that's really what it is, just really commentary. Except for people like Bob in New York, where I'm trying to teach them. All right, everyone. Have a good one. I'll be at Socrates Station tonight. It's Wednesday, and that's my usual hangout day, Mondays and Wednesdays. They were closed Monday, honoring Memorial Day. All right, I'll let them slide. And I'll be there tonight, Socrates Station in Socrates, South Carolina, between Murrells Inlet and Myrtle Beach. Great place, great people, great food, great prices. You just can't beat the place. You can try, but you just can't beat them. All right, everyone. Be well as I fade to black.